Making up and taking up space. Advocacy and visibility for women and underrepresented groups in HEMA. My name is Jana Datahan, and I am from the Svingas Club in USA. Thank you, ladies, for graciously inviting me to speak at your event. It is an honor to share with you some of my thoughts and experiences. I hope that this presentation helps and inspires you to build a strong HEMA community wherever you may be in the world. Everything I'm sharing in this presentation is based on my experiences. I am an immigrant from the Philippines who is now a citizen of the United States. So, I have learned a thing or two about building a community of supportive and like-minded peers. I started going to a HEMA club in July of 2020, and since that time, I have created a space for myself as someone who is a woman of color and a smaller fencer. The community I have built using my online platforms are made of individuals who are new students of HEMA, their instructors, women from all over the globe, individuals with disabilities, and LGBTQIA folks. Before I start my presentation, I would like to share this passage from the great Audre Lorde, the Caribbean American poet, essayist, feminist, lesbian icon, and anti-war civil rights and human rights activist. From her paper, The Transformation of Silence into Language and Action, delivered at Chicago's Modern Language Association in 1977. Later included in Lorde's indispensable anthology, Sister Outsider, Essays and Speeches. I was going to die, sooner or later, whether or not I had even spoken myself. My silences had not protected me. Your silences will not protect you. What are the words you do not have? What are the tyrannies you swallow day by day and attempt to make your own, until you will sicken and die of them, still in silence? We have been socialized to respect fear more than our own need of language, for language. I began to ask each time, what's the worst that could happen to me if I tell this truth? Unlike women in other countries, our breaking silence is unlikely to have us jailed, disappeared, or run off the road at night. Our speaking out will irritate some people, get us called bitchy or hypersensitive, and disrupt some dinner parties. And then our speaking out will permit other women to speak until laws are changed and lives are saved and the world is altered forever. Next time, ask, what's the worst that will happen? Then push yourself a little further than you dare. Once you start to speak, people will yell at you. They will interrupt you, put you down, and suggest it's personal, and the world won't end. And the speaking will get easier and easier, and you will find that you have fallen in love with your own vision, which you may never have realized you had. And you will lose some friends and lovers and realize you don't miss them. And the new ones will find you and cherish you. And you will still flirt and paint your nails, dress up and party, because as I think Emma Goldman said, if I can't dance, I don't want to be a part of your revolution. And at last you'll know with surpassing certainty that only one thing is more frightening than speaking your truth, and that is not speaking. I invite you to think about this passage from Lorde and how her words resonated with the way I advocated for myself and how you can get inspiration from her words as well. The first thing I want to talk about is don't be afraid to use the power of the internet. I wouldn't be sharing my experiences with you today if it wasn't for social media. We all have access to this powerful tool and we should use it to our advantage. When I started HEMA, all the social media content I found were of accomplished fencers and HEMA instructors. While it is great to have a good source of information conveniently online, I didn't find anyone who was just starting out like myself. During the height of the pandemic, I decided to start posting videos of myself online and using the tags beginner HEMA. I recorded videos of myself doing simple sword drills and footwork. These videos started off as a way to get advice for myself as a beginner from HEMA instructors and practitioners who were all stuck at home during the quarantine. I did realize later on that there were other beginners and people who are coming back to HEMA who found my content relatable. Using specific tags like, for example, sword women or HEMA to find people who may have similar interests as you, or in my case, people found my content using tags which help the algorithm push my content to the right people. The second one is be courageous and stay consistent with whatever it is you are advocating for. Sometimes it might take a while before connecting with others who share the same struggles or interests. But don't let that discourage you. Keep talking about the topics and issues that you care about. It is good to start on a club level and see if there are other women or other individuals that might have similarities with you and build a conversation from there. I started acquiring my HEMA gear in the summer of 2020. I didn't have a complete kit until before my first longsword tournament in February of 2022. I started conversations about building longsword fencing gear as a small and short fencer in HEMA, and I received help both online and in club and alternatives for affordable options. The current issue I have been pursuing is the availability of gear for petite and plus sizes. I started multiple conversations with HEMA friends and branched out to the community at large. For example, as a woman, protective gloves for longsword have always been an issue to me, so I speak about my experiences with different makers and brands. I point out issues such as sizing discrepancies with different makers. Why is size small different between glove brands, for example? Or how even paying extra for custom HEMA item might not always guarantee a good fit for someone with a smaller shape. During these conversations, I found that sizing issues for women and smaller fencers are an issue for a lot of HEMA gear. I've spoken to both instructors and students who have had difficulties due to ill-fitting gear. While the issues in gear still exist for people like me, I now have a community that I can turn to for advice, to compare notes with, and to possibly get help and support when pushing for changes and innovations in the community. The next one is don't be afraid to accept support from others or to ask questions or for advice, especially toward individuals who have the power to create change, such as gear makers, instructors, and tournament or event organizers. Perspective is important, but people who may not have the same experiences and issues similar to yours sometimes fail to recognize a problem that need to be addressed. For example, my first tournament was a longsword cutting tournament back in 2021. Here in the United States, cutting tournaments use one standard height for the cutting stands. As a short fencer, I was using the same height stand as someone who is much taller than me. The standard height stand made it very hard for me to get into the right structure to deliver good cuts and therefore affected a little bit of my performances at tournaments. During a beginner cutting workshop that I attended in 2021, I asked one of the instructors, who is one of the top advanced HEMA cutters in the USA and runs a few cutting tournaments, what advice they could give to those who are much shorter. My question, along with other people who also have similar issues, made the event runner think about accessibility for a specific group of competitors. Flash forward to 2023, the event runner introduced a shorter stand as an option to HEMA cutting tournament competitors. And the last one is, you don't have to do it all yourself. Chances are, someone might already be doing it. Maybe you don't feel suitable to lead an endeavor or don't have the energy or resources, and that's all right. You can still enact change or help bring up issues for women and other unrepresented groups by participating in discussions and weighing in on issues that affect you. Making your voice heard is a powerful weapon, especially when it strengthens the collective voice behind a topic or a certain issue. You will be surprised to find out that there are individuals who have similar issues or topics that they want to resolve or explore further. As a group activity, applying what you learned, bring up some topics that are important to you as a woman in HEMA and discuss it with your group. It doesn't have to be problems, it can be something that you want to build a community on. See if there are similarities with the individuals in your group and brainstorm ways to address these topics together. Thank you so much for coming today and listening to my little presentation. And I hope to hear from everybody who has been in this little lecture.